Hi, my name is Patrick and I'm a sales engineer from WebTitan. Once you've installed WebTitan on the network, you'll be able to access the user interface from your browser. Once you log in, you'll be brought to the dashboard. Now the dashboard just gives you a brief snapshot of what WebTitan is doing. You have your system overview, your web traffic summary, your top block categories, your most visited categories, and your top block domains and your most visited domains, as you can see here. The next thing you have to do is you go to System Setup and you import your trial license, which you received when you downloaded, and you load it in here, and then it'll just give you your own details, your license number, your amount of users that you're allowed, and also your max daily usage, which is the amount of unique IP addresses or Active Directory users within a 24-hour period that are allowed. The next thing is you set the product up in the network, so you give the product a host name, as you can see here, give the product an IP address, and also you give WebTitan its domain name as well. And you can also specify the email server as well that you want to send out notifications as well. This IP address will be used when you go to your own proxy settings, when you want to manually test pushing out the WebTitan proxy to a machine. You'll be using this IP address, or even if you go to group policy on your Windows server, you'll be using the same IP address. As for authentication, initially at the setup, you don't have to enable authentication, but we do recommend in time that you use NTLM, which would be your Windows, basically when your users are logging into their machines in the morning, they're also authenticating to their Windows NT domain, and this will give WebTitan user identification, user authentication, so we can identify usernames associated with IP addresses without the users seeing any pop-ups. There is other forms of authentication. There's LDAP, where the users will receive a pop-up screen with their authentication, or you can use IP and NTLM. So if you have a list of IP addresses in a range, you can also do authentication. But as I said, authentication from the initial trial period, you don't have to enable it. There is a proxy built in with the product, and this proxy port number is important. It's 8881. So when you are testing on your own proxy settings, you put in the IP address of the WebTitan that you've assigned and the port number which you have assigned here. Now there is transparent proxy settings, so WebTitan can be installed at the gateway or router level using WCCP or your Cisco ASA firewall by enabling here. So there's two methods when installing WebTitan. You can do forward proxy mode, which is just standard proxy where you push out to the users via their browsers, or you can use transparent here, which is at the gateway router level. We have a cache built in to speed up browsing time when you're going to the various web pages, and auto configuration. This is just another way of pushing out to the users if you're not going the GPO route, and we do have a wizard here which shows you how to do that. The most important thing then is you import your users and groups. You can import your LDAP server details here, and then import your users and groups. Once your users and groups are imported, you can see here Jim Tobin. He's in the IT department. Within Active Directory, you can be in 7 groups or more. So similar with WebTitan, if a user is in 2 different groups, WebTitan can pick their least or most restrictive to apply that applies to them. So you import users and groups, and then you just apply policies to the group. So for example here, the IT department, you can assign an IT department policy that you've created further on in the product, which I'll show you next. So this is the policy that will, filtering a policy that will apply to the IT department. And where you set up your policies, you can see here when you get the product, you'll get an administrator, a default policy, shipped with the product. Right there now. So when you get to the policies page, as you can see here, the product gets shipped with an administrator default policy, which allows everything. The default policy is important initially from the setup because everyone who goes through the product initially will be on the default policy. But as I said earlier, the IT department policy, which is here, you assign to that user. You specify a name. Everyone gets the same template filtering policy, so you just save it, rename as you're creating new policies. You specify the non-working times. This is important, so you can specify after working hours, lunchtime. So for example, Monday to Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. is the lunchtime hours. The advantage of doing this is it allows you to be more flexible within the categories that you're allowing or blocking during work or non-working hours. So as you can see here, there's 54 predefined categories of all the various web pages, and you can, red is block, green is allow. So you can see here alcohol is blocked during work and non-working hours. Chat and instant messaging is allowed during work and non-working hours. And you can see here you're blocking entertainment and video sites, which would normally be YouTube and other types of sites, and you can allow during the non-working hours. So you can be flexible with the categories, and if you're wondering any specific category in question, what it consists of, you can click on the icon here and you can see here keywords, social networking, MySpace, Friendster, LinkedIn, Bebo.com. So there's 54 predefined categories built in, but also you're not just limited to the 54 categories. You can create custom categories, which you can do here in the custom category tab, and we've created one here called Facebook. The advantage of creating a custom category is you can allow a certain amount of URLs, as many as you want. So you can put in the YouTube URL, Facebook, and this just means that the company is not just limited to the 54 predefined categories in the product. So your company might have a friendly policy towards Facebook, but you want to block all the various other social networking categories. So an example here would be you can block social networking during work and non-working hours, but allow Facebook here, which will take precedence. So anything in the custom category will take precedence, which is here. And you can see here your 55th category is Facebook, and you can create 8 custom categories. So just with the web filtering, you can see here web filtering on. You can any of these are just block internet access. These are all off because that would actually block everything. But you can allow HTTPS traffic, so green is allow unclassified traffic, which is traffic that just isn't recognized yet, and you can enable URL content filtering. So an example here, URL threshold of 100. If somebody puts in a bad keyword into their browser and it gets a bad score associated with it, the user can be blocked from entering that page. And similar with a page count threshold of 350, if somebody goes to a particular page and it has a certain amount of bad keywords, they'll get blocked from going to that page. There is an option to log but do not block for certain users if you didn't want to block them from anything. You can allow or block the various audio files, video files, executable files on a per group basis. So red is block, green is allow again, and you can even specify your own user defined files. I'll show you further on in the product where you can actually drill down so to see exactly what executables you're blocking, .exe, what image files, .gif, etc. There's a safe search built in, so when somebody's browsing on YouTube or Google, it'll pick up the safe search if you enable it. Notifications, you can put in your email address here and get notifications, block notifications for people who are blocked, or for specific categories you can get notified on. There's also bandwidth throttling, or bandwidth quota we call it, where you can limit people in groups to a specific amount of bandwidth that they use, so it won't, just to make sure your network traffic isn't being overutilized. And also just with the global settings, in WebTitan you can specify the least or most restrictive policy to apply to users when they're browsing. So the least restrictive policy we feel is best. So if somebody is in 3 or 4 different groups, their least restrictive policy will apply. Just with filtering, so before I go any further, there's 3 main functions within WebTitan. You import your users and groups, and then you just apply policies. But in addition to that, we do have additional features such as you can whitelist domains here, so bypass authentication. You can whitelist, blacklist. You can, similar with URL keywords, you can whitelist, blacklist URL keywords that are found in the URLs. And with the content, you can allow or block the various streaming media. So allow Windows Media Player, QuickTime, Flash, and apologies about the keywords, content scoring words here, but these are some of the words that contribute to the keyword blocking. We do have an antivirus engine built in, which we recommend enabling because it protects your network from phishing attempts and your users when browsing. We do have the various extension files which I told you about earlier: exe.bat, audio files, MP3, video files, image files, and document files. So these are the actual files that you're blocking on the file types, and you can put in your own user-defined list here. There is a redirection tool, so we can redirect you from, let's say, anyone going to Google. We can send them to Microsoft Bing by just putting in the 2 domain names here. Just with the updates, we update the system. We do about 2 to 3 updates a year, and you can see here the version releases when they're released. Specify your email address, and you'll get notified when there's a pre-release ready for update here, and you can just release it. With the categories, they update on a 24-hour basis, and we even have cloud-based lookups as well, so it's real time. And the virus definitions as well, we recommend updating every hour, as you can see here. Just with the settings, the interface settings, you can see here this is the access deny page, details, the title, the access deny message, and the additional information here, which you can change suit your needs. Just to give you a preview what the users get and see. As you can see here, this is the interface settings, and you can rebrand, relogo. Okay. As you can see here, this is the interface settings, and this is the access denied page details, so you can specify the title, the access deny message, which you can see here, and additional information. And just to give you a preview, this is what your users get when blocked. So you can see here WebTitan access denied, the URL in question, and also it's prohibited by the URL database, it's porn and sex category. So this is where you edit the access deny message here for your users, and also you can back up your configuration settings and schedule a backup to remote FTP server. Just with management, we do have role-based administration, so you can create multiple administrators, and you can also create role-based administrators here, so a policy manager or a report manager. Now, a policy manager means that you can give somebody, let's say in the marketing department, policy manager rights to the marketing department policy. And similar with reporting, you can give somebody in HR reporting manager rights to manage the report. So this really just reduces the admin work for the administrator. Reporting. A history page is one of the most important pages within the product. So you can see here all traffic that comes through WebTitan. So you can see the time, the user, the IP, whether they were allowed, go to the following URL in question, and they're in the category computer and technology, and they're in the IT department. So you can refresh as people are browsing, so it's real time. You can search under the various categories and their IP address and their date range as well here. So in addition to that, we do have a reporting suite, and there's just to give you an idea, there's 37 predefined reports built in within the product. So it's request by users, request by category, bandwidth reports, trend reports, security reports. So it's just important to decide what reports are important to you.